I leave the country for a few days and look what happens. So I was about to leave home last Thursday, thinking I could leave all my recording equipment behind while I took care of non-internet related stuff for once. And then all of you started tagging me on Twitter, go follow me on Twitter by the way, @MaxDerrat, and leaving comments on my Panzer Dragoon Saga video saying that the Silent Hill 1 remake just got announced. Seriously dude, there's never any chance to step away from this stuff. You always have to be ready to go. So yeah, in case you were wondering why I didn't react to this sooner, there you go. Anyway, let's get to the point. We all knew this was going to happen. You don't produce the best-selling Silent Hill game of all time and the most well-reviewed Silent Hill game in 20 years and not follow it up with another remake. Yeah, I know there was a possibility that Bloober Team could have done an original Silent Hill game instead, but that possibility was pretty small. I'm not a betting man by any means, but between a remake and an original Silent Hill game, I would have put $1,000 on another remake, because of the reasons I just listed, and also because Bloober's track record with their original horror games prior to Silent Hill 2 Remake was so mixed. The only thing I wasn't certain of is if they would do Silent Hill 1 or 4 first. You know, the two Silent Hill games that actually needed the remake treatment. But yeah, they chose 1. So, what do I think about it? Well, you guys already know how I feel about Silent Hill 2 Remake. I think it's wonderful. It's my third favorite game of last year behind Metaphor ReFantasio and Nine Souls. Bloober Team managed to take an arguably perfect game and update it in a way that, while not as good as the original, was still about as good a job that one could reasonably muster. Because of this, Bloober has earned my trust. I have a lot of faith that they will do something that is at least interesting with Silent Hill 1. And I will have even more faith if Matthias Lennart returns to direct. Seriously, Konami, back whatever number of dump trucks of money to this guy's house that you need to. You can afford it with all your Pro Evolution Soccer money, just please bring this guy back. Now that said, there are a number of unique challenges that face a Silent Hill 1 remake that Silent Hill 2 Remake did not. I'll summarize what I mean as best I can at the top. With Silent Hill 2 Remake, what they had to do was preserve the essence and the structure of the original story, and then build around that. By that, I mean all the major plot beats, all the characterization, the mood, and atmosphere was the same, albeit elongated. With Silent Hill 1, I feel that in some respects they will need to change some of the essence and some of the structure of the original story. To not do so will result in the game feeling hokey. And not the good kind of hokey, like, you know, where Harry will look in a doghouse and remark that there are no dogs, only for killer dogs to be right behind him. But before I get to the stuff that I think will need to be changed, let's start with the stuff that obviously needs to stay the same. First, there is no way you can improve upon the game's first few minutes of gameplay. Everything from where you first take control of Harry to him getting mugged in the alleyway, that needs to stay the same. And that includes the trippy camera angles. Note that I say that as somebody who doesn't mind that Silent Hill 2 Remake went over the shoulder the whole time and got rid of the tendency for the camera to change positions. However, I acknowledge that there are a lot of people that really do care, and I sympathize with their feeling that the change in the camera's perspective is inherent to Silent Hill's identity. With Silent Hill 1 Remake, I think that at the very least, they need to bring back this technique for the opening, when Harry's walking down the alleyway. It's just too iconic for it not to be there. I mean, hey, if Silent Hill Downpour can switch between fixed camera angles and over the shoulder, Silent Hill 1 Remake can do it too. Second, you have to pay tribute to the opening FMV. I'm not saying that this game should have the exact same thing remade, but have some sort of introduction that sets the stage. The thing about Silent Hill 2 Remake is that it didn't need the original opening FMV translated over because it didn't have any story details within. I mean, it did, but that was more obvious after you completed the game. You get a better idea of where the story of Silent Hill 1 starts with its opening FMV compared to Silent Hill 2. With Silent Hill 1's opening FMV, you have Harry and his wife finding Cheryl, then traveling to Silent Hill, Sybil Bennett's motorcycle, and then them crashing when they see Alyssa on the road. You need to reproduce that somehow. And for the love of everything that is good and holy, the opening better have A, the fear of blood tends to create fear for the flesh, and B, you better have that f***ing mandolin playing at some point or I'm going to go nuclear. And there are other comparatively small things that need to stay the same, like Lisa Garland's final scene, and Dahlia better say that Harry's coming was foretold by gyromancy, okay? That needs to be there for the same reason that Leon Kennedy's bingo line had to be in the Resident Evil 4 remake. But ultimately, these are just details that need to stay the same. The broad, overarching element that needs to be maintained in a Silent Hill 1 remake is, for lack of a better term, its technical brilliance. Now when I say that, you might be thinking I'm talking about the graphics or art direction, but I'm not. That's why I said for lack of a better term. To explain what I mean, I'm going to draw a comparison between Silent Hill and Konami's other famous game series, Metal Gear Solid. Specifically, I'm going to compare Silent Hill 1 to Metal Gear Solid 2, and Silent Hill 2 to Metal Gear Solid 3. Generally speaking, Silent Hill 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3 are considered the best games in those two franchises. And a large reason why is because they both deal with simple yet powerful and universal themes that anybody can understand and deeply identify with on an emotional level. But where those two games are brilliant on an intuitive level, what makes Metal Gear Solid 2 and Silent Hill 1 brilliant are their intellectual components. It's all the technical stuff that is going on under the surface. As I and several other Silent Hill YouTubers have demonstrated, the mythology of Silent Hill is heavily rooted in things like occult magic, as well as Eastern religious concepts and tendencies. It's in trying to understand the meaning behind symbols like the halo of the sun, the seal of Metatron, or the true nature of God that the Silent Hill franchise has largely been kept alive for 2.5 decades. It's this stuff that keeps games like Xenogears or TV shows like Twin Peaks in the minds of millions decades later. It's that, plus the emotional storytelling and psychological horror. At root, the story of Silent Hill 1 is Harry Mason's journey to prove he is the archetypal father, who will go down to the depths of hell to rescue the one that he loves. On that journey, the symbols he encounters and the order in which he encounters them are the same as the ones encountered in the alchemical process, the process that is external and internal. As the philosophical alchemists believe, in order to create the Philosopher's Stone, the external reward, one must transmute one's inner self to a higher level of greatness. And to find that most precious inner and outer reward, you have to venture deep into the place you least want to look, in Sterquilinis Invenitur. That place you least want to go is Silent Hill. By the way, that's why Harry Mason's name is Harry Mason, Mason meaning stone. If you want to learn more about that, I will link several videos in the description box below. Now that's not to say that Silent Hill 2 didn't have these technical elements as well. It did. It was just disproportionately an emotional, intuitive story. And Silent Hill 1 is the reverse of that, and that needs to be preserved. However, I firmly believe that if you were to maintain the core essence and structure of Silent Hill 1's story in the remake, in the same way that Silent Hill 2 Remake did for the original, it would not work as well in the modern day. As I said, it would come across as hokey. Why? Well, the primary reason is because Harry Mason, though conceptually, technically a brilliant protagonist, would come off as wooden if he were written in the exact same way. He's just so stoic and so courageous that it's cliché. He's too much of an ideal dad for him to be relatable on an emotional level. You could get away with that in a game from 1999, and it was easier because everything else about Silent Hill when it first came out was so novel and fresh that you were able to forgive some of its more unpolished and unintentionally hilarious elements. With the remake, you need to give greater dimension to Harry's heroism. For instance, you can go into how he lost his wife, not only what the struggle was like, losing the love of your life and raising a child on your own, but actually how he lost his wife. Was it due to sickness or a car crash? I want this canonical discrepancy fixed, thank you very much. And also, was the wife's name Jodie, as it says in the novelization? Personally, I think it might be kind of a cool nod if you just change her name to Rose, as a tribute to the Silent Hill movie, but whatever. Back to the point. Maybe show us some flashback scenes with Harry and Cheryl. Show how much of a miracle Cheryl's existence was, and I don't just mean how the circumstances of her birth actually made her the perfect daughter. I mean how her connection to Harry made him a better man and want to be the perfect father, despite the suffering he endured. There's so much you can exploit with that to complement the game's technical brilliance. On top of that, you should even expand upon Dahlia and Alessa's tumultuous relationship to contrast against Harry and Cheryl. Make Dahlia's hatred of existence and her ends justify the means attitude compete against Harry's embrace of life, despite the suffering that comes with it. Of course, doing this would require a greater dimension to Dahlia's character that the original game didn't have. You'll have to make her less of a mustache-twirling kind of villain and give more dimension to her philosophy and history with the Order. So yeah, that's what I mean by changing some of the structure and some of the essence of Silent Hill's story. Give it more of an emotional bent and just change some of the characterization. Now to conclude this video, there are a couple of other things that I think would be generally cool to change or update that won't have as dramatic an impact. On top of expanding upon the characters of Harry, Cheryl, Alessa, and Dahlia, I think it would be really cool to make Sybil Bennett play more of a part. To this day, I always felt that they could have done a bit more than they did with her. Maybe give her some sort of background story that makes her emotionally involved in helping Harry find Cheryl. I'm sure as a cop, she's seen mistreatment of children all the time. Maybe there was a case where she could have helped a child but failed to do so, and now helping Harry is her form of recompense. Just a random idea. Outside of that, maybe fix the logic of the piano puzzle, which is still recognized as one of the worst puzzles in any video game ever. And also, I wonder if they'll make the true ending a bit easier to get in the remake. Think about it, for most of us who played Silent Hill 1 the first time, most of us got the bad ending, right? Do you think that they will update it in such a way where it's easier to get the Agalaphotis, or however the hell you pronounce it, or at least more obvious that you have to get it? I know the point with the original game was that you have to play the game again to figure out what you missed, but I wonder if gamers nowadays would tolerate that. And finally, I just want to mention a couple of criticisms that I and other people had from Silent Hill 2 Remake that I think are worthwhile fixing next time around. I, along with a lot of other people, had problems with the remake's pacing. Though I only felt the game drag in the Blue Creek apartments and the Otherworld version of the hospital, a decent number of other people thought it was a problem throughout. Maybe tighten up the next game by making the game an hour or two shorter. And second, maybe try to bring the combat a little bit closer to what the original series was. By that, I mean make ammo and health a bit more scarce instead of turning Harry into a walking Texan Walgreens. And also, in doing that, maybe make stealth and avoidance of combat a viable option again, instead of virtually having to plug anything that moves and everything that moves with buckshot. If all these things are done, expand the characterization, make the game more emotional, make minor fixes to the pacing and the combat, then I fully believe we could have another hit on our hands. Better yet, I think there's a chance that the game could be even better received, but we'll see in a couple of years. And thankfully, those years are going to fly by because we still have Silent Hill F, Silent Hill Townfall, and I would hope the Born from a Wish expansion at some point. So those are my thoughts. What do you guys think about the upcoming Silent Hill 1 remake? Do you agree with my thoughts? Is there anything you disagree with? Is there anything I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments section below. Until next time, I want to remind you as always and as per usual, stay yellow.